It is Friday, October 18th, 2024. Welcome back to another edition of Baseball Today without Chris Rose because he's still in London eating fish and chips, I believe. This one's presented to you by SeatGeek. Use code JohnBoyPlayoffs10. In Chris Rose's stead is Katie Woo. She's back for another day. Robbie Sirocco along for the ride as well. Katie, I want to say thank you for coming on and filling in. And I also want to tell our audience to go and follow you on your socials. And I'm going to do that. But the problem is you have two different social handles, and we need to fix that ASAP. Follow Katie on IG at Kath, KATHJ Woo, WOO. And then on X at Katie J Woo, Katie, KATIE. What's up with that? We got to get that cleaned up, Katie.
I think I just have commitment issues, and I can't pick either way. And it's funny because each time I log in, I think like, "Hey, I should probably just, like, pick a uniformed identity," and I can't do it. I can't do it, so get with it or get lost, you guys.
I think I like the Katie J Woo.
It, like, rolls off the tongue, right? It's
Yeah,
classic.
it
Yeah.
does.
I
It
will
does.
say
It
2
does.
entirely different things. On Twitter, you'll get, like, real baseball stuff, a lot of Cardinals things, obviously, very
Okay.
serious. Instagram stories, you will get pictures of my pet, my cat. She's amazing, the love of my life. So, it just really kinda depends what you're into.
Okay. I love that explanation. And again, yes, thank you for filling in. This will be your last day today because on
So
Monday,
sad.
Jolly Olive, we might get a happy Olive, we might get a sad Olive. He's a Mets fan. He'll be running it the rest of the time when C Rose is here. So thank you. So little tip of the cap to you. And then our big tip of the cap goes to our guy Max Muncy and his record-setting day. Uh, it might have gotten overlooked in the Dodgers' dominance over the Mets so far. But he set a postseason record for reaching base in 12 consecutive playoff appearances in one postseason. He actually tied the overall postseason record, and he did so without even knowing it.
I wasn't even aware of that. That's pretty cool. The biggest thing to me is that means I'm getting on base for my teammates, giving them a chance to drive me in, and just creating traffic out there for the opposing team. And that to me, that's the biggest thing that means.
I love me some Max Muncy. He's a throwaway guy from the A's, finds himself in the Dodgers organization, and then I talked about this a little bit last night on Talking Baseball. Him and Justin Turner, had these career turnarounds with the Dodgers, and it's just so cool to see someone stick with it, believe in himself, and he's become, one of the stalwarts for the Dodgers over this last, 8 years that he's been there. It really is incredible.
Yeah, I love it for him. I feel like he's one of those guys that slowly became a franchise face, and when you think about the Dodgers, there are plenty of franchise faces, but Max Muncy, he's always in there, and coming from someone who covers the National League, I see that name and I think Los Angeles Dodgers, and I think that's very cool, especially what you said, Plouffe, about where he came from, how he crafted his career, and now he's not just a staple for them, but I mean, I can think of countless postseason moments that he's come through for. So, Max Muncy, a tip of the cap to you.
That's right. And the bat drop is always good. As always, this one's brought to you by SeatGeek, and we do have a special announcement for everyone to celebrate the baseball playoffs. SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, is giving all of you 10% off your next purchase with code JohnBoyPlayoffs10. I actually went to dinner last night, or I met everyone for dinner because I had to work. And I was telling my guys we're in LA, and it's possible that the World Series could be here. And I said, hey, I got a code for you guys. They're all going to use it. It doesn't matter if you're buying or you've bought already on SeatGeek before. Code JohnBoyPlayoffs10 is going to hook you up. That's code JohnBoyPlayoffs for 10% off your next SeatGeek purchase. You'll thank us later. And don't forget, we do have the SeatGeek question of the week coming up where someone will win $500 in SeatGeek credit. Gotta love that. We'll start off with one of the better games that we've seen in quite some time. Game 3 of the ALCS. The Guardians give up the lead late. We see Aaron Judge with an incredible at bat against Emmanuel Clase, and then we have two massive homers to snatch the game back for Cleveland.
Ready for a 1-2. Here he comes. Judge, line drive, right field, hit well, and it is up and out! Judge has homered! The game is tied at 3! A home run to Kerry Carpenter. That ball's hit well, deep center field. Way back there, Giancarlo Stanton! A home run! one. Judge and Stanton go back to back.
Swung on and hammered. High, deep to left. Away out of here. Swung on, hit high, hit deep to left. There she goes.
I mean, yeah, it kind of, obviously after they took the lead, it was tough, but we still felt like we had a good chance. It's kind of who we've been all year. We come back, and I mean, if there was a guy who can hit a big homer, it's Sean Kinsey, and golly, he did.
It's a lot of homers right there. And that view from across, if you're only on podcast version, our YouTube version has this awesome shot from a fan in Cleveland who took a video from his apartment building, just showing the fireworks going off after that David Fry walk-off home run. He's had an incredible postseason. Talk about a late bloomer. This guy was an all-star this year, has had now 2 just legendary Cleveland playoff moments. My question to you, Katie, is this enough to change the momentum in this series? Guardians now down 2-1, but they're at home for 2 more games. Is a game like this enough for them to really say, hey, we're back in the series?
Well, first, I thought this game was a classic championship series baseball game. You think about October baseball, and I mean, I don't think you can draw it up any better than that. And what I loved about this game and why I think it will give some momentum back to Cleveland is because of how it was done, right? When you think of the New York Yankees and players that are supposed to come clutch for you in those moments, you think Aaron Judge and Carlos Stanton, and they did. When you think about the Guardians, I'm not sure if any casual baseball fan before the season would know the names David Fry and some dude named Big Christmas. But those were the guys that came through for Cleveland, and I think that's huge for morale. That's huge for momentum, and to do that at home, to get all the celebration of the walk off, the fans at home, the city. I mean, I love that shot from the apartment building. I love how there's like that quiet pause right before the pitch is thrown, and then it just erupts. So huge morale for Cleveland. And if you recall, I was maybe a little out on them about 24 hours ago. I'm a little bit back. But I do think it's a bigger deal for the Guardians than it is for the Yankees. I think the Yankees, tough loss, but the Guardians had to play perfect baseball to beat them, and they did. And so much credit should go to that team for the fight that they showed and how they contributed when it mattered. I think it's more momentum for the Guardians, but I don't think it really knocks the Yankees down a little bit. I think for them it's just like, okay, hey, that was a tough loss, but we still have a 2-1 advantage, and we're still the New York Yankees.
It kind of sounds like you're still out on Cleveland, if I'm being honest.
I know, I really tried to hype myself up because it was such a cool game. It was such a good moment.
We asking you shall receive. We were kind of talking about, the Dodgers Mets series has been kind of blowouts, lopsided. This series kind of felt that way as well. And we wanted, we've had a great postseason. The DSs were insane. And this game was awesome. And I too was out on the Guardians yesterday. And we were talking about, hey, do they have a chance? And it just really felt like they didn't. Then you have, like you said, 2 swings of the bat, how much they can change everything. It kind of shows now that home cooking is real for the Guardians. And now in a game 4, where you kind of have like 2 unknowns on the mound. Really, Luis Hill hasn't thrown since the end of September. Gavin Williams hasn't thrown since September 22nd, I believe. So this is a game, again, where, look, I think, yes, you do have to still put respect on the Yankees' name and what they've been able to do. And it's scary that Judge now has hit homers in back-to-back games, and he's done it against Gaddis and Clase, which is crazy. But I do think you have to give credit to the Guardians. And someone wrote us a comment on YouTube, and it kind of got me thinking. And we do describe this Guardians team as this punchy underdog team with a bunch of no names and, big hits when they need them and guard ball and all this stuff. But he's like, when you really break it down, he goes, we've had the best bullpen in the league all year long. We have an perennial MVP candidate at third base in Jose Ramirez. The middle infield is one of the best defensive middle infields in all of baseball. That was on display last night with Andres Gimenez. Rocchio's had a great series. He goes, there are, David Fry and getting Lane Thomas over at the trade deadline. He goes, there's a lot there to really like. This This doesn't have to be just some punchy underdog team. They're actually a very good baseball team, and it showed last night. And you're right, they did have to play their best brand of baseball to get the job done. But in my head now, I'm like, who's to say they can't play their best brand of baseball for 3 more games? Like, why can't they do that? Now, the bullpens have both gotten exposed a little bit here. Weaver gets touched up. Clase gets touched up. Gaddis the night before. So am I saying now that the Guardians are favorites? No, I'm not. I think the Yankees still have that advantage there. But I do believe, Katie, that they are back in the series. So we will see.
All right, you're on believe land. Okay.
A little bit, I want to believe in my guy, Stephen Vogt. And I told this story last night. You know that me, Max Muncy, and Stephen Vogt were having lunch when Max Muncy signed on with the Dodgers way back when in Arizona. He had just gotten cast away from the A's, and it brought me my feelings last night, seeing both those guys having postseason success. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm just like watching these guys, but it's okay.
No, you're doing a great job hosting.
Thank you.
You guys know.
Thank you. Speaking of doing a great job, Aaron Judge obviously has, come back to life in these playoffs. He's given New York Yankee fans hope that he's going to be that guy in the postseason. We've seen Giancarlo Stanton step up. Aaron Judge had this to say after the Yankees lost last night.
Yeah, can't dwell on it. Can't mope. Can't hang our head. We still got a lot of ball games to play. So, refocus and get ready for the next game.
We kind of already touched base on this a little bit in the last question, but do you think it is that easy to just say, man, Yankees just wash this game away? You still have a commanding 2-1 lead. They're still the favorites, right? You kind of mentioned that early on.
Yeah, they're still the favorites. It's not as comfortable, right? Obviously, being 2-1 instead of 3-0 is a little less comfortable, and it's gut punch the way that they lost, especially because the way that they rallied with Judge and Stanton. It was just, you saw the dugout, right? It was like, those are our guys coming through, like, hey, we're about to go up 3-0. But like what you said in the last question, all those things you said about Cleveland are true. I just probably don't do a good enough job in saying them and really putting that into practice. So they're still the favorites, right? I still like the Yankees. I still think they have almost all the advantages, but it's probably not as big of a disadvantage as I feel.
People are going to call me a Yankee hater because they always call me a Yankee hater. Yankees and Dodgers. Look out, guys. I don't hate your teams. I really don't. I'm just talking ball here. In my head, I'm thinking now about this Yankees bullpen that had been like impenetrable coming into the series. They'd found a formula. Clay Holmes, you move down. You put the fires out, and we got this guy Luke Weaver, who but he all of a sudden became this lockdown closer, one of the best closers in all of baseball, just kind of like that. Both of them get dinged up in this game. Like that, to me, that means something. And again, I know that Clase did as well, and I know that Gaddis did as well, but that puts them kind of on this even playing field now. And I think, Weaver, who's a guy who is pretty much only had success in the closer role. I know he's had to overcome some things as a starter and in other situations, but this is kind of his first time getting dinged up. And I just kind of wonder how that's going to play going forward. He seems like a really confident guy and like a guy that he can forget about this, but I think that is something to watch, as we go into game 4 of this series, is how do these bullpens respond?
Yeah, that's fair, especially because, like you said, especially for Cleveland, that bullpen has been a huge identity for them. I remember when the Cardinals were playing the Guardians, Ollie Marmol basically said it's a 7-inning game because once you get to that bullpen, it's lights out. And if that's a lot of pressure to put on offense, especially in October. But I think the Yankees have I think both teams have done a nice job of staying calm, staying composed. We'll just see how it is. How you respond, whether to a win like this or to a loss like this, I think will dictate the rest of the series. But I do think the Yankees are a resilient bunch. So we'll see. We'll just see if the Guardians can build off the momentum of last night. It'd certainly be easy to, given how they won. And it might be a little tough for the Yankees just because, again, how that violent change of emotions of two of your top guys coming through and all of a sudden you're going home with an L. But again, I think they've been here before. They're a resilient bunch, and I'm excited to see how they respond.
I am too. And you know what? We all need to get more of, Katie. We need to get off our ass. Mountain Dew with bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick. Mountain Dew will get you off your ass and have you feeling like you're on an actual mountain. A mountain where the weather is always perfect and your friends are ready to hang and a day of epic proportions awaits. You can do all sorts of things with your friends. Really, we're just talking get outside, people. I think some people use the expression touch some grass, but you can go fishing. You can play some football. You can toss the frisbee. You can hacky sack with me like I used to do at my all boys school at lunchtime. How about video games? Take them outside, play them outside, frisbee golf, whatever you need to do. Katie might be playing golf today.
Maybe.
Whatever it is you choose to do it with a Mountain Dew. The mountain is calling, and you should answer. Grab your friends, grab an ice cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold, and do the do. It is a little windy for golf out here in LA. I'm
I know, and
looking
I
out the
need all
window
the help
right
I
now.
can get. I'm a little north of you. I'm up in the Bay Area, but it's windy here too.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I need some assist. So I can't have the weather working against me right now.
Let's move over to the NLCS where the Dodgers now have a commanding 3-1 lead, and it was because the superstars were showing out for the Dodgers last night.
There's a shot, right center field, and Ohtani lights the fire. A leadoff home run.
Pressure cooker of the postseason.
Mookie Betts sends a high fly ball to deep left field. Nimmo's going back at the wall. It's gone. Mookie Betts goes deep. The Dodgers have broken it open.
Oh man, when those two guys get going, it is something else to watch. They set the tone from early on in that game, and the Dodgers really have never looked back. Are you more impressed with how dominant the Dodgers have looked, or are you more kind of like disappointed with how flat the Mets have looked over the last 2 games in Queens?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would like to point out that everything I said on yesterday's show that I felt passionately about this game, the opposite happened. So if you ever feel like I'm rooting against your team, you have that. Every single thing that I felt was going to happen did not. But I'm not sure if I'm disappointed on how the Mets look. I think it's just this Dodgers team is so good and so dominant, and it got me thinking just how good the Padres were, because that was a competitive series that took some gamemanship, some mind games for there to truly be a winner decided, and for the Dodgers to be just completely blowing the Mets out of the water here. How good was San Diego? Because I thought those teams were evenly matched. So that was actually my bigger takeaway was, wow, the Padres were a really, really good team, and that DS series was lights out. I think they're a billion-dollar baseball team. They have 1 through 9 contributions down the order. Whether it's Shohei Ohtani or Tommy Edman, all those guys can get on base, all those guys can bang, and how they're doing it with their patchwork pitching, I think is a testament to the coaching staff, the front office game plan, and everything about them is strong. That's less of a Mets thing, more of a Dodgers thing, at least in my opinion.
San Diego Padres fans smashing that subscribe button, or what is it, the follow button on Katie Woo's social pages right now. I gotta love that. I too am more impressed with what the Dodgers have done. They have. I just don't think they've allowed the Mets to come up for air, if you will. I think they've repeatedly put up crooked numbers, and when you're playing in a game and teams continuously putting up a 2 or a 3 spot in their half of the inning, it just becomes it's a daunting task. The offense starts to feel overwhelmed, and you have to do so much to come back in the game. So the added pressure makes it even more difficult to hit. The pitching staff right now is going through it. How do we get these guys out? How do we navigate? They didn't even have Freddie Freeman in the lineup last night. How do we navigate even just Shohei and Mookie back to back, especially when you have other guys contributing? I like that you mentioned Tommy Edman. I know he's got to be, a favorite of yours. You get to see him play quite a bit. But he's brought something so different to the Dodgers, and thank goodness they brought him over at the trade deadline. He's starting at shortstop. He's playing center field when he needs to. Like, he's been such a valuable piece to them, and also hitting cleanup. In game 4 of the NLCS, I don't think any Dodger fans had that on their bingo card when the season started, saying Tommy Edman was going to be our cleanup hitter. That's crazy, and he's been great for them. I think that I mean, I don't know this actually at all, and the statistics will probably tell you differently. But he been like he's one of the MVPs of the NLCS. You know what he's been able to bring. I just think he's kind of just been all over the field. He's bunted when he needs to bunt. He's driven in runs when he needs to drive in runs. He's playing good defense. Like I don't know. Like to me, he's really stood out when I've watched these games. Obviously, Shohei's done his thing. Obviously, Mookie's done his thing. But him and Kike have just brought a whole new kind of dynamic. And again, we didn't even mention Muncy yet. We gave him the tip of the cap, but like they have looked unbeatable. Yeah, I know. I know they lost game 2. Minaya was great. Vientos got them up early, and maybe that's what the Mets need to do. They need to not let the Dodgers up for air. They need to get out ahead, and Vientos did that with that grand slam. But other than that, it's just been all Dodgers, and the Mets have not helped either, Katie. I have on my sheet right here. Now I'm doing math. 31 walks in these 4 games. Like you can't do that. Not the way
Right.
the Dodger team is playing. You can't walk 31 guys.
You can't put free runners on for this offense. This offense will cash in on every single mistake that you make. And I like what you said about striking first. I feel like that has been a very common theme in the series. First team that scores usually runs away with it. Um, I just feel like with the Dodgers, they once again have all the momentum, and it was dicey earlier in the postseason for me because I didn't know how this pitching would work out. I didn't know what to expect from Yamamoto. I thought Jack Flaherty did an incredible job rebounding from his first playoff start,
Oh
taking
my
a
gosh,
step
there's
back and
Cardinals
being
all
like,
over these playoffs that aren't on the
I
Cardinals
know, like
anymore.
it's like
Oh my
basically a
God.
Cardinals playoffs just without the actual team.
Without the
So
Cardinals.
much fun. But now that I've kind of seen what this pitching looks like, you see Walker Buehler coming into form a little bit, and bullpen games. I'm not a fan of in general, and I think they're really tricky to do in the postseason. Uh, but they're they found a way to make it work for the most part. I know game 2 with the Vientos Grand Slam didn't go as planned, but for the most part, the bullpen games have been able to hold their weight. So I like what the Dodgers can do. I like how versatile they are. They have a player that can do anything, whether it's Shohei hitting majestic home runs or Tommy Edman with the sacrifice bunt. Again, they can do it all. So it's been really impressive to see what they're able to do, how they keep winning despite being without a lot of key players, despite only having half a rotation. I feel like they've erased almost all doubt about where they belong.
As for the Mets part of this, and we can go through this quickly, this could end up being Pete Alonso's last game in front of the home crowd in Queens. Um, we've talked about this a little bit, Chris Rose and I, about just kind of the legacy that he leaves. So if it is his last game in a New York Mets uniform, uh, number one, how do you think he'll be remembered? And number two, what do you think the odds are that he resigns with the Mets?
I think I can't picture a world where Pete Alonso is not with the Mets. It's not like they can't afford him. It's not like they can't afford to pay for. I know he's going to be the prime first base free agent. I get it, and he's certainly earned every bit of this free agency process that he's about to embark on. I think he'll just be remembered as a good Met. I mean, you think about the reaction from the fan base against the Brewers, that 3-run homer, and it's so cool to me when the player that you want in that spot comes up and delivers. And I was watching in a bar in St. Louis, and there were a ton of Mets fans in there, and every single person just felt so confident. They were like, "This is Pete Alonso. He's going to come through for us." And that's how I remember him. Maybe it's because one night at the bar just kind of taped in my memory. But every time I've gone to City Fields, there's always been such a big reception for him. And I know opposing fans love to hate him. To me, that's a sign that you're a good team player. When every single other fan base hates your guts and wants you to fail, then you're a franchise legend, a franchise icon. So I personally hope he stays. I don't like breakups. But if he does leave New York, I think he'll be remembered as, what he should be, which was one of the best players in this little Mets era to play for them.
One night at the bar, that's like a country song. So, maybe you get into some songwriting. I also believe that they should resign Pete Alonso. I know Mets fans are kind of split on this. I just think a guy with his skill set, you think they grow on trees, but they don't. Guys that hit homers at the clip that he hits homers don't just grow on trees. And I do think he's handled New York well. I think he's been good with the media for the most part. I don't know him personally, but I've talked to many guys about him, and he's a ball player. Like, that's all he really cares about. And I think if you get those guys and you get a bunch of guys that just care about ball and like aren't really distracted by other things, I think that's a really good thing, especially in New York. So he fits there. I too hope he's with the Mets. I don't like breakups either. I don't. I've been married for 11 years. So yeah, Pete Alonso, I hope it's not his last game. And if it is, and I don't want to put this out there, Mets fans will be so mad about this that we're talking about it. But if it is the Dodgers up, let's just say, another 10-2 game, and Pete Alonso comes up at the end of the game, I hope he gets a rousing ovation because he has, I think he's done a lot for that franchise and should be remembered very, very fondly. Before we get to our SeatGeek question of the week, I got to talk to you about 5 Hour Energy and their sweepstakes. You want to be a tailgate champion? Of course you do. Everyone does. You can win $10,000 for the ultimate football tailgate. Enter the 5 Hour Energy Tailgate Champ sweepstakes, and you could have a chance to win that $10,000 towards your tailgate. That's a lot of money for a tailgate. Oh my goodness. Talking about 5 Hour Energy. It's quick, it's simple, it's effective. You drink it in seconds, you feel it in minutes, and it lasts for hours. There's zero sugar, which I love, and packed with B vitamins and amino acids. It provides a feeling of alertness and energy, and it's available in a wide range of great flavors. 5 Hour Energy shots are portable, convenient, and go with you for that feeling of energy whenever and wherever you need it. So learn more at 5hewin.com. That's 5hewin.com. No purchase necessary. It ends on Halloween, 10/31/2024. See full official rules for details and how to enter without purchase at 5hewin.com. Shop now at 5hourenergy.com to find your favorite flavor. And now this is awesome. We have the SeatGeek question of the week. And this person who we're about to read, we're going to DM you, but you have just won $500 in SeatGeek credit. Paula Mortensen, you have just won $500 in credit to SeatGeek. We will reach out via X. We will DM you for this question that we're about to use. Congratulations. I don't know. Go do whatever you want with that. Go see a show. Go see a concert. I don't know if you want to go to the World Series. $500 to SeatGeek is yours. So remember, guys, when we ask for this again, get your questions in so you can be the next $500 winner. The question is this, and I actually like this debate, and I think I have a take on it. I'm curious to see what you say, Katie. Genuine question, is it really better for big markets to be in the playoffs? Because I truly enjoy when random teams like last year's World Series happens. Maybe I'm just a big market hater. What say ye, Katie Woo?
It's a great question because I'm torn. I think about how exciting it was to see teams like Milwaukee, like the Padres this year, fill their stadiums and get excited. I mean, teams that haven't won a World Series before, and you can feel the energy, especially in San Diego. As I'm saying this, I realize Dodgers fans are going to think I hate their team again because I keep talking about San Diego. It was really cool to see Petco Park and this fan base that really bought in and have a chance to be excited. At the same time, like, I love seeing Yankee Stadium in October. I love seeing Dodger Stadium every year. Like, okay, these are the teams. For a while it was the Cardinals, not anymore. But like I felt that way in the early 2010s about, oh yeah, like these are teams you love to hate, but they're there every single time. So I'm not sure. I enjoyed the Rangers D-backs World Series, but I I don't know. There's something about like the historic teams. Like if you give me Yankees Dodgers this year, I'm gonna be all in on that. But it's a great question, Paula. I'm not sure I have like a true hot take. I just like drama, so that's really what I like to go
You
for.
know what? We need hot takes here. That's what we do
I'm
on this
sorry.
show. Oh my gosh. Don't
I
you
don't
know that?
know. It was a good question. I see why she won.
I don't even know what a hot take is. So I think there are multiple layers to this question. It is a good question. I think that I got into the media side of baseball. Number one, because I couldn't play baseball anymore because I started to stink at it. But number two, because I wanted to grow the game. I thought it wasn't being marketed correctly, and so I think there's that aspect of it. I think when we do, if we do end up getting an LA New York World Series or a New York World Series, I think LA New York's probably going to be bigger. But I think that like it can transcend baseball fans at that point. It can bring new people in because there's a lot of buzz around that. And you know, other media starts to be engaged with baseball, and I think that is good for the game of baseball. But if you're a baseball fan already, I think you have to appreciate the parity that we've had in the World Series. It isn't always these big market teams. Like it is really, you get in the playoffs and it's the team that gets hot. So we've seen that time and time again where it's not just big market teams getting in. And I think that for the regular baseball fan is something that we need to understand and appreciate. If you look at like the NFL or the NBA, it's not that way. The parity's really not there. It is kind of these super teams going. The Chiefs have been, have they won 3 in a row, or they've at least been there 3 years in a row? Like you're going to get these teams, and there's going to be more dynastic runs in these other sports. Whereas baseball, really, man, it is so dependent on if you get hot in October. So I think we do have that as a sport, and we do need to appreciate it. So I don't know. I think I like both things. If we end up getting an LA, New York World Series, I'm going to be ecstatic because I'm going to be able to take my son to a World Series game, I think. I need to get a raise here at John Mamita. Have you seen those prices? But yeah, I think my overall take is we need to appreciate the parity that we have in baseball.
That's a good one, and that's why you're a great host. You guys, Trev has color coordinated notes for this. He takes it seriously. He is so organized. I do have a question for you before we wrap it up.
What's up?
Look, you're a Jack Flaherty guy. I covered him for a very long time. He was
Yes.
one of my favorites most days. What's your prediction? What do you got?
He's a dog. I know he wants to close it out. I know he wants to be the guy, for his hometown. So these Mets have been coming back all postseason. I don't think it's going to be easy for the Dodgers. I don't see this being, a 10-2 victory again. So I'm rooting for Jack to do well. I don't really know what's going to happen. I in my heart, I don't think this is going to be some runaway game for either team. So I'm just hoping for good baseball, but also, rooting for Jack.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not going to say anything because every time I say something, the opposite happens. So yeah, I like your take. I'm tired of being wrong, basically. I'm tired of being wrong and there being like audio evidence that I was wrong.
That's just part of the game. When you're you're usually a classically trained journalist. When you jump over into this realm, man, you're wrong all the time. It's okay. Everybody go follow Katie Woo, IG at Kath J Woo, on X at KDJ Woo. Thank you so much for filling in. We love having you here, and this might be the last time we get you for the season. So again, everyone go follow and support Katie. Thank you so much for coming on. For Katie, for myself, Coach Trev, for Robbie Sirocco behind the sticks, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you Monday for another episode of Baseball Today.